Okay, everyone, so I am in Savannah and I have to talk with you guys about something that I recently learned. So, when I got here, a couple of different things happened that are not usual. They are spiritual things that happen. So, the first thing that happened, there was a rain that occurred, and the apartment that I'm in actually had a flood. Water was coming into the apartment. And then after that, there were some flies coming into the apartment. And of course, these are not usual. And it's not just a couple of flies, it was hundreds of flies that came into the apartment. So there's meaning behind that. At first, when the flood happened, I was like, oh, the rain and everything. All right, that's what happened. But then, of course, I realized that no, this was all part of a spiritual message that was coming to me because Savannah has some history. And I don't know the entire history of Savannah. I didn't look up the history of Savannah before I came here. I knew I needed to go to Georgia. Savannah's in Georgia, so I came to Georgia. Unlike when I went to Virginia, I was looking up history. I was looking for something when I went there. But I knew I needed to come to Georgia, right? From the spiritual world standpoint. So things are happening, and I decided yesterday that, I guess I will allow the spirits to give me the message that they're trying to give me. And I realized that the things that are happening because apparently that area that I'm in has a lot of dead souls, and the dead souls are ones that died under tragic circumstances, and they were buried there or left there in that kind of essence. And this came to me, and as this came to me, there were guys working outside of the apartment to make the repair. And at the end of the day, I went outside and I immediately had the strongest sense of death. And the guys had disturbed the soil at the apartment. And when they disturbed the soil, I could see the flies coming up out of the soil. I could see worms coming up out of the soil. And, I was like, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to go to someplace else. I won't stay here. I left. And as I left, I was thinking that, recalling that this is a message still. So I stopped and I looked up just a general history of Savannah. And when I looked up the history, I was looking at the Civil War, or a particular war that was going on. And of course, the slaves that came here and the Gullah Geechee community that's here. There's a huge Gullah Geechee community based here in Savannah in South Carolina, and still practicing some of the ancient things that were taught from Africa and from the Caribbean, and they have that community going here, right? I learned that. I learned about the war, and during the war, I found out something astonishing. There was a general who was fighting, and he went through Atlanta and was making his way to Savannah. And when he got to Atlanta, he completely burned the city to the ground. When he got to Savannah, the trees were so beautiful, he said he could not burn the city down, and did not burn the city down. And for those of you who are aware, you understand that our ancestors are in the trees. In essence, the ancestors protected this land from being completely destroyed. I also saw that Savannah has survived some fires and flooding massive times, being the city being underwater. There were epidemics. There were a lot of things that have happened here. So then I was definitely like, okay, so there's a lot of dead souls here that are not at rest. And perhaps I need to do something to assist those souls. And so I normally, I had my necklace on yesterday because I normally protect myself to not receive information from everyone. So about 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, all right, I will allow myself to be a vessel to receive. And I started getting the messages. And one message was of a person a soul, who said that they killed him. So I knew it was a male who was killed, but it was another masculine energy that was telling me about the death of this person. And then I was told about another one. It was a woman who was killed, and the man had killed her. And so I started getting these messages because obviously there's stories here of deaths that were done, and those souls are still tortured. And I have to say this about the flies. All of those flies that came into the apartment, they died, right? They died en masse, which is always an indicator. And I know it was literally one day, it was like 158 flies in one moment because I counted them, right? And they were all dead. And so I have decided that I definitely need to spend some more time investigating and trying to assist with the souls, because that's important for them to be able to rest. And I would do that. Not necessarily in that place that I was staying, but I will do that. And I say this information to you because I went somewhere else today, and I was talking to some people who've lived here in Savannah for a while. And I said to one of the women, I told her what I read, because I was asking them, hey, where's a good place for me to be? I'm in this place here, and I was going to be someplace else for another, 2 months. And I was, want to know which part of town is a good place for me to go to. And I told them about the general who spared the city because of the trees, which again are the ancestors. And in essence, how the ancestors were still protecting the city and protecting the souls that were here. And the two people I was talking to had no clue, right? Had no clue that it had even happened. Neither of them are from Savannah, but like most of us, they didn't do the research or look into, what was going on. And that is kind of what happens. We go places and we don't look at the history of that place, and we have, kind of lost ourselves in essence. And we've lost ourselves because we don't know where we've come from. Now, I know with my Cherokee native side, I know they were in the South Carolinas. I know with my Caucasian side, I know they were in Virginia, right? I know different parts of the United States of where my family was from. And therefore, when I do go places, I try to go to those places because I'm trying to understand the history, right? In order to understand me and my total shamanic behavior, lifestyle. Again, not discounting my family from Alabama and Florida that I knew of. I'm talking the ones in the 1800s, and oh my God, my amazing grandmother, great grandmother, in the 1800s, who was successful in that lifetime. And anyway, so I want to encourage you to explore these things. And I understand that I have a history with the dead. I have my entire life. They have always spoken to me. They have always given me information. And so I know not everyone is comfortable with that, but I'm telling you that you could have that relationship as well. And I do know that some people say that's demonic. That's not demonic. what was demonic is what was done to those people. The lives that were taken, that was a demonic act, right? Killing massive amount of people for whatever reason, either whatever the reason was, it was unjust, right? And that blood has bled into the earth, and that decay and destruction is in the earth, right? And we have to be aware that when we look at all the different things that are going on, we have put that energy here. You can understand and appreciate that energy, and then you can also understand who you are, because part of the ancestors reside in you, that is in your DNA. Me being called to come to Georgia, I've been, and the doors open up miraculously for me to come to Georgia. That was a calling, and that was a reason for me to come here, right? If you are called someplace, look into, are you being called because of some type of ancestral lineage? Is there something that went on that's related to you and you just aren't aware of it in your present mind, your present state? And maybe do the research when you get to that area. Okay? So hopefully some of you guys will take this, and next time you feel drawn to a place, you look into it a little bit further to understand why you're drawn there. Now, aside from the fact that there's the absolutely most beautiful trees, and if you know me, you know I've been a tree hugger since 5th grade, and I've been playing in trees and loving trees my entire life, and hugging trees my entire life, and having a relationship with trees my entire life. And yes, there are some of the most beautiful trees here, and I am definitely enjoying that experience. But I'm also learning some other things about this area. Okay? And I also created some more products, because we do have to be protected, right? So, at any rate, maybe this video will help you. You guys take care. Listen to yourself. Pay attention to what's going on. Find out your history. Oh, and sometimes you may have to go to the library to find out history. You can't find everything on Google. All right. Bye.